Hey everybody. So this is the next little video of posting. I did remove India's sutures. Today's 10 days since her ear crop. So I did go in with a little pair of manicure scissors and just snipped in between each stitch. Hopefully didn't miss any. Sometimes the stitch gets stuck behind, some of the scabbing, but I'm hoping for the most part they're out. They're healing really, really well, as you can see. And that's just with a little bit of Neosporin that I had put over, and I will do that again today as well. So, I think you saw in the last video, maybe you didn't, when I was putting together my zip tie posts, I did make two different variations. So, I have this variation, which uses a tiny piece of foam backer board in the bottom for a little cushion to kind of make it a little more comfortable in her ear pocket. And then I made some with gauze instead. Reason I did that is because she's still really little, so her ear pockets are kind of small, and it's a little like I feel like I'm kind of working a little hard to get this one down in there all the way, just because she's kind of little still. So I'm gonna save those for, maybe in a couple weeks. So first thing I'm gonna do is I wanna clean away all that old glue residue in the ear. And also, so this is a de-adhesive spray. I wanna get the old glue residue off the ear and just kind of get the ear nice and clean in general. Yeah, so, and then spray a little bit down in here too, because I know that some of the glue gets down in there during the process. And then I'm going to take my long Q-tip and just clean out the ear pocket. Make sure she doesn't have any funky stuff in there. And everything is nice and clean. We don't want any kind of infections or anything like that. And if you have like a different ear cleaner solution that you like to use, that's fine as well. I just like to do this to kind of get it set up. So a little bit more glue right here. Just gonna pick that off like that. Okay. So ear is nice and clean, also nice and dry, right? You don't want to put anything on a wet surface. You don't want anything wet, because that's how things get like funky and irritated and all that, okay? So I did make these ahead of time, thank goodness. And I do want, so this is where the bump is, where I've kind of put the gauze over top of the zip tie. And so on that side of the zip tie, it's a little bumped up, right? Because it's laying on top down here. Well, it's wrapped around it a little bit. But this side is a bit flatter. So this is the side I'm gonna apply my Torbot adhesive on. And again, you wanna put a good amount, but you don't wanna like go overboard and make it like super saturated, because for one thing, it won't stick and adhere very well because it'll be too thick, and it too thick and messy, and you want a good, connectivity. So just a nice thin layer, but totally covered, right? You want to cover all of this, all your little edges and corners like that, okay? And then I usually just kind of give it a minute. When you do this, just like with any glue, give it a second and it gets, a little tackiness about it. Now I'm gonna lift up on her ear. I am pulling it kind of tense. I'm not, hurting her, but I'm pulling it tense. And I'm putting this down all the way into that little ear pocket, okay? And you might have to wiggle it around sometimes to make sure you get it all the way down in there. Because if it's not all the way down in there, then it's not going to take very much for her to be able to get them out, even if she's not trying. Like if they're not down in there good enough, just her shaking her head too much or something like that, right, could end up causing it to come out. So I'm going to hold this, and I like to hold the base of the ear against it. I don't want any ear pockets. Ear pockets are when you leave like a bubble because you don't have it connecting, you know, glued flat all the way across the ear. So to show you what I'm doing on the back of her ear, I'm just kind of making sure that I'm pressing it all the way down and all the way across so that there's no little pocket there. I don't want a little air pocket or anything at this back part. I want it nice and flat against the zip tie. Stop. Stop. Now, right here, it looks like I didn't quite get enough glue. So I'm going to add a little dab to the tip of the ear. Sit still. And I can always show you how to reinforce that in a safe method as well. So just going to hold that for a minute or two and let it get good and dry and stuck on there before I start the other side and before I trim off my excess on the top. Scissors. No ma'am. Stop. So again, I'm going to do this facing the ear because I don't want to come too close to the top of the ear. Cut off that extra piece. Stop it. No ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am. She's just annoyed with me. It's not hurting her at all. It's just annoying her because I'm sitting here holding her and holding everything still, and she's not a huge fan of that. So this little part, even though I added a little bit of glue, the very tip, I'm not too excited about, like, stop it, how it's like, you know, that it's very securely glued on there. So this is a, fabric, or like a breathable tape, like a sports tape. And I'm only going to do this. I'm gonna attach the tape to the zip tie, bring it around, but I am not pushing on it on the ear. I am only pushing on it on the zip tie, okay? Very important, okay? I am only pressing the tape onto the zip tie. I do not pinch the tape on her ear. I am not applying any type of, I'm not making the tape like tightly or firmly hold any part of her ear. I want to make that very clear. It's loosely here and it's just attached to the actual structure, okay? So it's going to hold that tip in place for me more securely without risking cutting any circulation to the tip of the ear. Okay, now I'm going to go to the other side. Turn her around. Sit down, sit. And I'm going to apply quite a generous amount of this adhesive remover. I'm trying not to get it on the ear, I just did. For whatever reason, she has a lot more glue residue on this one than she did on the other one. So I'm going to have to work a little harder on this one just to get it nice and clean. Hold still, please. You're fine. You can also hand them like a treat or a bone to chew on while you're doing this if you have one handy. I didn't think about that in time. But that, you know, something to keep them occupied so they don't get so annoyed at being constrained. All right, so residue, get all that out. And a little bit down in here. This ear was, I must have just put more glue in that ear. Okay, nice and clean and dry. And then my Q-tips to clean out that ear pocket. Funky ear over here. More glue in this ear. Something. Well, maybe not. Okay. Also, I do want to go back over here and apply just a tiny bit of Neosporin. I'm only doing this because I did just remove her sutures today. So this ear is perfect. Her other ear, she did have a little bit more scabbing on the one section. So I'm just gonna apply that for her so that the scab doesn't like irritate her now that the sutures are out. Just a tiny, tiny little bit, not overdoing it at all, okay? All right. Okay, clean and dry. Could get a little more dry down here. Oh, that feels good, huh? You like that? Yeah, oh yeah. Okay. Same thing here. The gauze is wrapped, stop. And this feels like the flatter side. So that is the side I'm going to apply my Torbot adhesive to. Whoops. Nice even coat. And I am gonna make sure I get enough of it this top of this one because I think my finger got in my way on the other one a little bit. Anyway, I brush it on there. Spread it evenly. I'm not putting any on the little gauze tip down there. I'm not trying to glue the gauze inside her ear pocket. I'm just providing a little comfortable piece to be sitting in her ear pocket. Okay, so. And same thing here, stretch the ear, sit up. Stretching the ear out. This is easier to do if you have a helper actually stop that can hold the dog for a minute while you do it, but I don't have that luxury. So luckily I'm kind of a veteran at this. Pushing it down into the pocket, wiggling it a little bit to make sure it gets all the way down. And now holding the ear. See this down here? You don't want to mess with this. This is where the cartilage is forming. You don't want to be pushing that against your zip tie because then you will end up with ear pockets. And you don't want ear pockets. So all this other part, nice and flat. Sit still. No, you're not finished. No, no. Don't be afraid to be firm. You know, you're the boss. You're in charge. They are not in charge. Sit down. And again, I'm going to cut my leftover piece. And I'm going to hold this for another minute or two so that I know that it's nice and dry and sitting securely on there before I release her, because just sheerly out of reflex, she's gonna shake her head because she's got, you know, something new and fresh in there. And, you know, to be fair, there is some glue. Okay, again, when I do this part, I'm coming over here onto the zip tie. This is where I firmly attach the tape. This, I just gently wrap it or bring it around. And I don't push down on the part with the ear. I'll show you on the other side in a minute. I am pushing it down on this side And anywhere that there is zip tie, see, but not tightly, this is nice and loose where the actual piece of her ear is. That is extremely, extremely important for you to understand, okay? So I'm gonna just give her another minute or so. And again, if you really want to, you can make a bridge, you know, across the top or across the bottom. But really, I might make a small bridge just because I'd like them up a little higher. Again, no tape going onto the ear, only going on to the zip tie. No, no, stop. Can you hold still? Now, over here on the side that does not have any ear on it, I can put that tape as firmly as I would like, right? Anywhere on the zip tie that does not have ear attached to it, you can touch firmly. Anywhere there is ear, you want to leave it looser. And there we are. Don't know how long the bridge is gonna last. She typically will mess with the bridge. It really, truly is not super necessary. If you're doing this right with the zip ties, they shouldn't be sticking out like airplane propellers anyway. So, you know, they don't have to be completely like this, because when they start using that muscle, it's gonna go like that. But if you like it better that way, you can. Hope this was helpful, everybody, and happy posting.